Hi guys, Grand J here and welcome to another one of our videos. Today we'll be doing a Dragon Ball Super video. I haven't done too many of these recently, but with set 7 coming out and it's a good time to talk about the new cards, I figure I might do a usual set review for set 7. So the cards for this set are really weirdly allocated and split. So this time I'll be breaking the card analysis up into the relevant sagas. So in this case, today's video, I'll be talking about both the red and green cards that are relevant to the Brawler Saga cards. So that will be the family of Goku, Gohan, and Goten, as well as the Brawler Saga cards as well as the red leaders. So let's get started. So first off, we have our first leader card, which is Son Gohan and Goten Brotherly Bonds. On the front side, he's just Son Gohan. He's got once per turn burst 2. You can choose one card in your life and add it to your hand. If your opponent has 5 or more life, deal 1 damage to them. So basically, this is just a way for both you and your opponent to awaken a little bit faster. Its awaken ability is when you're at 4 or less life, you can draw 2 cards and flip this card over. So this is like your classic draw 2 leader. He doesn't gain any advantage on the front side, but he does have an ability that innately helps him to activate or awaken. So on his awaken side, his ability is Auto Sparking 5. When his card attacks, draw 1 card. Auto once per turn, when one of your battle cards activates Alliance, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards of 30,000 power or less and KO it. And activate main once per turn, Sparking 5. Choose 3 cards in your hand and place them in the drop area. Choose all your red and green battle cards, then both the chosen cards and this card get plus 10,000 power for the duration of turn. So sacrificing 3 cards is a lot, but you are getting a lot of power. So if you were just getting the bonus on just one card, on one battle card on the leader, you're getting plus 20,000 power and you're sacrificing 3 cards. So you are getting a slight 5k bonus to that as well. Now, this really comes in handy with Alliance in that, like, giving multiple guys that plus 10k buff actually gives you a lot more mileage or a lot more value out of those free card sacrifice. So if you have, like, a board with, say, 3 guys on the field and your leader, you're getting plus 40k power effectively by discarding 3 cards. So it's really cost effective. As for his second ability, when you are activating Alliance, you get to kill one of the guys of 30,000 power or less. So that means if your opponent is negating your attacks and you're not pushing through with, like, a triple striker, then you are killing one of their guys for effectively free. And his first ability, obviously, when the leader attacks, draw a card. It is Sparking 5, so you probably won't be playing overround with this leader. And on top of that, because the strategy involves having cards in your bin, you're probably not going to be playing overwhelm anyway. So yeah, that's the Son Gohan and Goten red leader. Next, we have the Brawler Leader. So this is the first red Brawler Leader that we had in the game. On the front side he has critical, so he's got just like permanently critical. When this card is placed in your leader area, choose one Dormant Legend from your deck and activate it. So yeah, straight away you start off the game with Dormant Legend in the game. I believe this is before you draw any cards, so you can't just get away with one Dormant Legend in your deck. When your life is at 4 or less, you draw 1 card and then reactivate one of your energies and flip this card over. So it's a draw 1, activate 1. On the Awaken side, when this card attacks, draw 1 card, which is pretty standard. Activate battle once per turn. Choose 1 card in your hand and place it in the drop area. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with 10,000 power or less and KO it. So 10,000 power or less isn't a particularly high threshold. So pretty much anything that's going to be pressuring you in the mid to late game will generally be like at least 20,000 power. So it's not going to be too handy there, but there are quite a couple of Brawly cards, especially the green-red arrival cards, that do reduce your opponent's battle power, as well as just like a ton of red cards such as After Image and so on that can reduce your opponent's battle power. And do note that this card does say activate battle, so you can use it during battles after your opponents have committed to combos and before those combos are applied to their attacking power. So it is kind of like the set 6 green Brawlies in that they have activate battles to like destroy your opponent's cards. Now the card that the Brawly does give for free, which is Dormant Legend, it's a field card. You can't place cards on this card except with this card's skill. When a card in your life is added to your hand or placed in your drop area during your opponent's turn, place the top card of your deck under this card. So this is a card that basically incentivizes you not to deal damage to yourself, and it's supposed to disincentivize your opponent for dealing damage to you in the early game. It's got activate main. If there are 3 more cards under this card, place this card in your drop area. Choose up to one red Brawly with an energy cost of 4 from your deck, and play it, then shuffle your deck. So basically, your opponent doesn't particularly want to play aggro against you in the early game, because if they do, they're just building cards under Dormant Legend, and as soon as they deal free damage to you, you get to activate Dormant Legend, you get to activate Dormant Legend on your next turn, and you get a free Brawler of cost 4. In addition, there are a ton of cards. There are a couple of Brawler cards that do require you to have either Dormant Legend on the field or Dormant Legend in your bin in order to be played. So yeah, this is a very core card to the overall Brawler strategy. Yeah. So, talking about the first card in the set, it is Son Goku Heavenly Salvation. He's a free cost 14, so he's below curve, but his ability is activate the skill when you play Son Gohan and Goten Familial Bond, so it's a green, red, 4 cost battle card. If it's in your battle area, if Son Goku Heavenly Salvation isn't in play in your battle area, then you may play this card from your hand. So I assume you're playing this card from your hand for free. Auto, once per turn, when this card is switched to rest mode by Alliance, if you only have Son Goku, Son Gohan Adolescence, Son Goten, and or Trunks Youth in your battle area, choose this card and up to one of your battle cards and switch them to active mode. So effectively, this is a card that you get for absolutely free when you play Son Gohan, Goten, Familial Bonds, because that card has Alliance on it, when you swing with that card, you'll almost definitely want to Alliance with this Goku. He increases their power by 14,000, which effectively is only really by 10,000. So he's not adding a huge amount of power, but the huge value is that as soon as you do activate Alliance with this Goku, you do get to reactivate this Goku and the Familial Bond, so you get to swing again. So basically, it gives like your Familial Bonds dual attack. And yeah, so once per turn. So for a free card that does that, on a card that's like going to gain triple strike, it's actually really, really strong. And yeah, it's a definite auto include for any strategy that wants to play the Familial Bonds strategy. Next, we have Dependable Brother Son Gohan. It's a 4-cost red battle card. It's got EX Evolve red 1 on a Son Adolescence Goten, Son Gohan Adolescence with a cost of 3. It's got double strike. When a card evolves into this card, draw 2 cards. And if there are no other battle cards in play in your battle area, choose up to 1 green Son Goten, 1 green, and 1 green Trunks Youth with an energy cost of 4 from your drop zone and play them. So, the way that this set has sort of like, revealed these cards, it's kind of hinting at playing out the Trunks out of entering and the Son Goten out of entering. They're both pretty weak and pretty, overcosted for what they do, if you don't consider EX Evolve costs. So Trunks out of entering, you're basically getting a 10,000 power revenge blocker, and Son Goten, you're just getting a 15,000 power battle card. So neither of them get their like evolve ability, so they're just like 2 pretty vanilla cards. But something that I think that they unintentionally missed was that Son Gohan and Son Goten Familial Bonds is a green 4-cost Goten. So it's got the Son Goten tag, and it's 4 cost and it's green. So yeah, instead of playing Son Goten out of entering, I'm pretty sure you'll be playing Gohan and Goten Familial Bonds instead of Goten. So effectively, when you do evolve this guy, if you have no other battle cards on the field, you get Familial Bonds and Trunks out of entering for free from your bin. So yeah, it's actually huge value. And there are a couple of ways that you can evolve into this Gohan. So there's actually a lot of free cast Gohans actually. So within this set by itself, you've got Helping Hand Son Gohan. It's a free cost battle card that can effectively become a 1-cost negate, and put him on the field. You've also got the green, Hope of the People Son Gohan. It's a free cost Gohan where, if you have, both, have all 3 Son Goten Youth, Trunks Youth, and Videl in your bin, he becomes effectively a 1-cost battle card. So effectively, it allows you to play Son Gohan, Hope of the People for 1 energy, 1 green energy, and then you can evolve it, EX evolve it straight away with Dependable Brother Son Gohan. But there's also a couple other cards as well. So, even cards like, say, City Patrol Great Saiyaman, he can effectively, become a 1-cost Gohan if you have Great Saiyaman 2 on the field as well. So, there are a couple of different ways in which you can play a cheap Son Gohan and then like EX evolve him straight away. But not only that, there's actually one card that I'm pretty interested to try this with, and that's Fully Trained Son Gohan. So it's a 2-cost 10,000 power battle card. Its ability is each Son Gohan Adolescence, which Dependable Brother is, in your hand gain evolve red 1 on top of a Son Gohan Adolescence. So if you don't want to jump through any of the hoops of the previous card, you can always just like go turn 2 Fully Trained Son Gohan, then turn 3 just regular evolve Dependable Brother on top of it. You won't have any other battle cards, and then yeah, you can do your combo of getting Familial Bonds as well as Trunks at the same time if they're in your bin. So this card is like super easy and there's a whole lot of different avenues in which you can evolve into him. And the fact that he can get you Familial Bonds, which is like the big power card for this whole archetype, is like stupidly strong. And the fact that you can play like the free Goku that can allow that can reactivate a guy upon alliance is just like really, really strong. So I think that this archetype is like really strong, really powerful. Even though like I don't think you necessarily would want to play it with the red Gohan leader from this set. So, talking about Helping Hand Son Gohan, he is a free cost battle card. During your turn, if Goten and Trunks are in play in your battle area, reduce the energy cost of this card by 2, so it effectively becomes a 1 cost negate. It's got counterattack, negate this attack, and play this card. So, so if you happen to have both Goten and Trunks on the field, and likely in this set you'll be doing that with the Exalted Trios, you'll be able to play him on your turn free for just 1 energy, during your opponent's turn, and then subsequently after that you can then like evolve him like on your 4 energy turn. So this is probably the least convenient way of like achieving this outcome, because like you'll be spending your first turn, your 1 energy turn to play Videl, and then you'll be spending your 2 energy turn to play both the Exalted Trio, Trunks and Goten. So that's probably, so it's probably the most inconvenient way of doing it. There is a way that you can possibly get it on your turn 2. So if you go to turn 1, play the free Videl blocker, you can then play either one of your Exalted Trios on turn 1 on your 1 energy turn. Then turn 2, play the other like Exalted Trio, and you have 1 energy open. So on turn 2, you can have 1 energy open, negate an attack, put this Helping Hand Son Gohan into play, and then turn 3 evolve into it straight away. So this is one way to do it. So ultimately the goal is to just get a free cost Gohan into play that you can then evolve into Dependable Brother and then get the Familial Bonds and so on. That being said though, because Dependable Brother requires you to have no other battle cards on the field, it doesn't really synergize with Helping Hand Son Gohan particularly well, because Helping Hand Son Gohan requires you to have the bros on the field in order to reduce its cost. But then subsequently, after you play this card for like one energy, you then have to get rid of those bros just in order to like evolve Dependable Brother on top of Helping Hand Son Gohan. So it's a little bit counterproductive in that regard. So I think that this is probably one of the least relevant ways to get to Dependable Brother. So, talking about the Exalted Trios, we have 2 cost Exalted Trio Son Goten. It's 10,000 power, it's permanent. Only 1 Exalted Trio Son Gohan can be played in your battle area, and if you have a Videl card in play in your battle area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand and battle area by 1. When this card attacks, if there's a Trunks Youth in play in your battle area, this card gets plus 5,000 power and double strike for the duration of the turn. So effectively, this if you have both Exalted Trio, Son Goten, and Trunks, this card becomes a 15,000 power double strike when it's attacking, for 1 energy as well. So in this set, they do have a red 1 cost Exalted Trio Videl, which does look at the top 3 cards of your deck for either of the bros or for Trunks as well. You can play this card pretty early on, so you can play both him and Trunks on your second energy turn. It is kind of annoying that their energy cost is reduced both from your hand and in the battle area, so it does mean if your opponent does have a card, say Crisis Crusher, that they won't be able to attack and they can get blown up as well. So ultimately, both Exalted Trio, Son Goten, and Trunks aren't particularly strong, but there are going to be cards that can evolve on top of them once we get to the green cards. So the other Exalted Trio is Exalted Trio Trunks, 2 cost 10k, has the same effect of you can only have 1 of him on the field, and its cost is reduced by 1 if you have Videl on the field. So that can be Exalted Trio Videl. But if you happen to play the red Gohan leader, there is in Union Force a Videl that comes in for free. That's a blocker. If there's a Adolescence Gohan in either your leader area or on your battle area. So, when this card attacks, if there's Son Goten in play in your battle area, this card gets plus 5,000 power and critical for the duration of the turn. So it becomes, a 1 energy, like 15,000 power critical. Like on defense, it's going to suck. So after you get 1 attack with it, they're pretty much going to die because your opponent's just going to run guys into it. So the whole point of it is that, you play these guys and then like it allows you to play that cheaper, negate Gohan. Or if they, or you just like EX evolve with the green Goten and Trunks. So talking about the trio, we have Exalted Trio Videl. When she enters play, look at the top 3 cards from the top of your deck. Choose 1 red or green Sun Gohan Adolescence, Sun Goten, or Trunks Youth, and add it to your hand. Place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck. So usually that's a pretty narrow set of cards to really look top 3 for. Usually like top 3 is usually like Saiyan or Namekian or God, a much broader category. But this you're specifically searching for 3 different battle cards. And in this case, I guess, like, if you are playing this strategy, so many of your cards are going to be under those tags. So you're probably going to hit this pretty consistently if you do decide to play Exalted Trio in this deck. So, yeah, it seems like a pretty much auto-include if you're playing this deck. Yeah. Next, we have Coco Village Princess. She is a 1-cost 5,000 power battle card. Activate main once per turn. Choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your drop area. Draw 1 card. So this is just a red fledgling talent Pan. She has, like, not really any sort of particularly good, like, tag source. She is an Earthling, so I guess, like, yeah, you can search her with, like, search her using some of the cards like Yamcha. But yeah, so she's absolutely got, like, not a lot of value. There's not a lot of cards there's not a lot of decks that want to put specific cards into their bin, outside of, like, Shenron decks, but, like, Shenron decks usually play 1-Star Ball or Super Dragon Ball. So it doesn't really seem like you want to be, sending cards to your bin in order to draw cards. So you're not actually gaining any card advantage by doing this. Yes, you can put like Videl, Goten, and Trunks into your bin using this card's ability, but it seems kind of slow, and you are committing a card in order to do so. Whereas it seems it might be better to just like combo those cards off straight away. So next we have Coco's Grandpa, Village Oldster. He's a 2-cost 5,000 power battle card. When you play this card, choose up to 1 Coco Village Princess from your deck and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. At this cost, at this power, it wouldn't have even been like overpowered or strong if he just put the Coco Village Princess from your deck into play for free. Yeah, the fact that you're committing 2 energy to play this card, to then have to spend 1 energy to play Coco Village Princess is just bad. So like, Coco Village Princess isn't even good, and this is like a crap support card that supports a mediocre card. So, don't play Coco Princess and don't play her grandpa. Next, we have Anatot Village Monster. It is just a vanilla 2 cost for 20,000 power. So it's basically the same as Yamcha, except that it gains the monster trait as well. There doesn't seem to be anything in the game that really sort of like deals with monster traits, so like it's pretty irrelevant. The character is, yeah, just like Village Monster, whereas like Yamcha is Yamcha. I don't think that there are any real cards that deal with like specifically Yamcha or Village Monster, so they're both basically interchangeable, so if you want to go to Monster, you can go to Monster, right? But the one advantage to playing Village Monster is that it has a synergy with Shaman Ritual Master. It's a 2-cost 5,000 power battle card. When you play this card, draw 1 card, so yeah, it's a cantrip. And then when a card in your opponent's life is placed in their drop area, you may place this card in its owner's drop area. If you do, choose up to 1 red Anatot Village Monster with an energy cost of 2 from your deck and play it. So basically, yeah, if you crit one of your opponent's life, then yeah, you can sacrifice this card to play the Village Monster. Yeah, cool. I guess like the only real benefit you get for doing this is that like, yeah, you draw a card when you do it. Yeah, you draw a card when you do it, but it's like just so difficult to pull off, especially that early in the game. So like, I wouldn't even really consider it. Like, yes, you can do it potentially with the critical Brawler Leader, but you're just jumping through hoops to like not really do anything too important. So, I don't think that this is particularly relevant. Yeah, I don't think this is particularly relevant, for even the Brawler Leader. And yeah, I don't think like even Skillless Goku, I don't think it's going to be relevant. Although, yeah, so I don't think there's any reason to play this out of like just like a sealed tournament. So next we have Broly Counter Reversal. It's a 4-cost 20,000 power battle card. Permanent during your turn, this card gets plus 5,000 power and can attack battle cards in active mode. Auto once per turn, when your opponent activates a counter skill, deal 1 damage to them. So this just seems like a sort of a cheap like 4-cost Broly that doesn't have anything particularly powerful, but it seems like it's going to be a Broly that you can get with Dormant Legend. So it is 4 costs. So you're probably not going to be paying to put this card into play. Yeah, it's not particularly amazing, although it does have a very interesting auto ability in that, yeah, you get to deal 1 damage to your opponent when they do activate a counter. Yeah, even though it's once per turn. So if you do happen to have like multiple of these, I guess like you're really sort of penalizing your opponent. There's not too many decks that play like a huge amount of counters. I guess like the only one is like Janemba. So yeah, if you can get like 1 or 2 brawlers on the field and just swing in, you're dicking on the Janemba real hard. It means that they like can't really activate Dimension Magic and so on. So yeah, so overall, like, this card isn't particularly strong or fantastic. Like, definitely you're not gonna hard cast this. You're not gonna pay 4 energy to play this card. You're pretty much just like only putting it in for free, with Dormant Legend. So yeah, so I guess like for a free card off Dormant Legend, it's not bad. But yeah, like, otherwise I generally wouldn't play this card. So next we have one of the extra cards for the set. It is Familial Bonds. It is a 2-cost extra card. This card gains Desire in all areas. If your leader card is red, choose up to 1 red Saiyan in your drop area with an energy cost of 3 or less and 15,000 power or less and play it. If you play the card, choose up to 2 Dragon Ball cards from your deck and add them to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So this is effectively red only Child's Wish. So everyone knows that Child's Wish was pretty bullshit. And yeah, this is like basically a red version of it. So you can only do it if you're a red leader, and it only gets you red battle cards. But the upside is that it doesn't require a red Shenron leader. So just like red leaders in general, like Pan and so on, can play this card. Not only that, it also gets you two Dragon Balls as well. So like, yeah, it just like helps you like fulfill your Dragon Ball requirement if you happen to be playing a red Witch leader, right? But not only that, there's like, you can just like search for balls in general. So let's look at the targets for this card to begin with. So first, like a large majority of the smaller GT characters, such as Determined Saiyan Son Goku, Digging Deep Vegeta, Pan, and Trunks, they're all like under free cost 15. So yeah, those are all like great targets. There's a couple of promos that as well that that fill the same condition. You have Glory Obsessed Prince of Destruction Vegeta, and you have the promo Gohan. Yeah, so yeah, those are certain cards that can be fulfilled with this, as well as like pretty much older like Goku and Vegeta BR cards. So you can get harmonic energies. You can get Vekus as well if your leader allows you to do that. So yeah, so there's a ton of great targets, and it's only costs 2 as well. So yeah, playing it for free is actually pretty good as well. Not only that, but like you don't necessarily have to be a Shenron leader in order to get balls. So you can get stuff like 2-star ball, 4-star ball, 3-star ball that might be relevant to you. So yeah, even if you don't necessarily want to use them, all those balls don't require you to be a Shenron leader. So if you just want to get the extra like card draw power, you can just like use these as energy, or you can just use them as like one energy effects to like draw 1 card or to do other stuff. So yeah, Familial Bonds kind of is the replacement for King Piccolo Evil Ambition. So it's like kind of a replacement for that Power Booster card, for red Wish leaders that don't want to commit to the King's Return to Youth type strategy. Just because like, it seems like all the other Power Booster cards for set 5, they all just had super generic abilities that just like got Dragon Balls into your bin or got Dragon Balls to your hand. But King Piccolo's Evil Ambition just requires such a very narrow scope, in order to like play an extra card for a very specific battle card, and like that extra card you want to have a ton of copies of anyway. So Familial Bonds is much more flexible, has great value, both with like red Shenron cards as well as like red leaders in general. So next we have Dormant Legend. We've talked a little bit about this card. Yeah, so like so you basically during your opponent's turn, if they deal damage to you, you put cards on this card, and then yeah, once you have free, you can sack it for a red Broly of cost 4 or less. Not only that, but yeah, there is a green Broly that we'll be talking about a little bit later that can sacrifice this card if your opponent just decides to stall you on higher life. So next we have Denial of Hope. It is a 2-cost red extra card. So this is the first red counterplay, and seems like every color of this set, they're all getting counterplay cards. So yeah, so we're getting a whole bunch of them, and they're all 2 costs as well. So the red one is Denial of Hope. If your leader card is red, if the battle card your opponent is playing has 20,000 power or less, it is placed in its owner's drop area instead of being played. So for a large majority of situations, it's basically preemptive strike. So basically, most cards that your opponents are playing, at least of 3 or less, are all going to be 20,000 power or less. And a lot of the 4-cost cards are all generally 20,000 power. So Denial of Hope for most instances are going to be like hitting the same targets that Preemptive Strike is going to be hitting. I guess this does hit some other larger cards as well, in that it does hit Zeno. So if your opponent does try to do chain attack Zeno, you can just Denial of Hope and kill the Zeno, whereas Preemptive Strike wouldn't be able to do that. But I guess Preemptive Strike can just kill the chain attack Trunks anyways, right? So Denial of Hope has the con of, it's restricted by power as opposed to being restricted by cost. But it seems like in a lot of cases, Denial of Hope will probably hit a larger set of targets than Preemptive Strike would. So, both are fine. And like with Minus Killing Zone being banned, it just gives it gives red decks ways to deal with specific cards that they might not be able to deal with. So next we have the negate for red this set. It's the Final Guardian. It's got counter attack. If your leader is red, negate the attack, then choose up to one of your battle cards, and it gets plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. Permanent, if this card is in your drop area, you can activate by paying its energy cost and removing it, and one red card from your hand from the game. When you activate this card, you can't activate Final Guardian for the duration of the turn. So basically, all the negates from this set, all the like counter attack negates, they all have the special ability of if they're in your bin, you can remove it and remove a card of the same color to play it for like one energy. So it basically can convert one card from your hand into like this same negate. As for this negate's ability, giving one of your battle cards plus 5,000 power isn't particularly great. It's not like Awakening, which is the one that just like gives your leader plus 5,000 power until the end of the turn if you're a Saiyan leader. So Final Guardian, it seems like there are two main kind of good targets for it, and like one of them is Trunks' Surge of Energy. It allows you to draw a card, and the other one is probably Deadly Defender Krillin. Just like makes it so he's a like 20,000 until the end of the turn. So Final Guardian just seems kind of weak, but then again, like a large majority of the red like counterattacks aren't particularly good. I don't think that this card is really going to take the spot of After Image. After Image is just like really strong, and there are certain synergies with it. This set, such as with the red Brawler Leader, that still keep After Image like very relevant still. So Final Guardian probably could see play as a 1 of 2 off, and also I forgot to mention like the restriction of you can only activate one of these a turn. So it does mean if you have multiple copies of Final Guardian in your hand, you can't play multiple of them during the same turn. So like it's definitely, all these negates aren't going to really replace existing negates. Like maybe you might add 1 or 2 into your deck just as something to help you deal with certain cards that brick in your hand. But otherwise, this isn't going to replace like existing negates. It's just kind of like a small addition to the current set of decks that it's a small addition that you can add to your mix of negates in the new sets. So now we're moving on to the green cards. So now we have Son Gohan, Hope of the People. He's a free cost green card. You can only have one of these on played into your battle area, and if there is at least one Son Goten, Trunks Youth, and Videl in your drop area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So the whole point of this is to play a cheap free cost Gohan that you can EX evolve into Dependable Brother Son Gohan. So there are a couple of ways to go about this. So obviously, this set does have like the Exalted Trio Videl, that does search for Trunks Youth and Son Gotens. And then you can like go like play them and sacrifice them or like combo them or do stuff with them. And then once they're in the bin, this guy becomes 1 energy. You get Dependable Brother Gohan, and then you get to have the two green brothers back onto the field. So other than that, there's a couple other ways to get them into bin. So like I guess the leader is burst 2, so you can potentially just like mill some of them into the bin. But there are some older cards, such as like in set 2, you have Leap to a Future Son Goten, and Leap to a Future Trunks. They both have the ability of you can discard that card and another card from your hand in order to search your deck for a Gotenks, and put it into your hand. So, if you don't necessarily want to combo them out, you can just like use those battle cards, their abilities to just like discard them and then to like fulfill this condition without having to combo them. Even though they're technically a neg 1. So like this card is clearly just allowing you to play Dependable Brother on turn 3. And like, as we've spoken a little bit earlier, it's like a really powerful combination, that can get pretty strong with the leader ability in conjunction as well. So next we have Son Goten out of entering. So now we're talking about the 4 cost bros that are green. So it is 4 cost 15, so it's way below the curve, but it's got EX Evolve onto a red Son Goten. So it's like it's absolutely free, but the Son Goten has to be energy cost of 2. When a card evolves into this card and your leader card is a Son Goten Adolescence, card, draw one card, switch this card to active mode, then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 4 or less and KO it. So it does seem that these cards are intended to be played with the Exalted Trios. But now that I look at it, I actually kind of think that they don't work, because it says you have to EX evolve them onto one of those guys that have an energy cost of 2. But Exalted Trio Son Goten, its energy cost is reduced while it's in your hand and in battle area, if you have a Videl on the field. So you technically need to get rid of Videl in order to evolve them. So you have to play the Exalted Trio Son Goten and Trunks while Videl's on the field, and then you have to combo away to Videl. That way their energy costs bump up back to 2 again, and then you can play these out of venturings. I didn't notice that before, but now that I'm like noticing it now, it actually is way more like cumbersome to play these cards. As for its ability, yeah, you do get to reactivate it, draw one card, and stack one of your opponent's guys of 4 or less. So effectively for a free card, it's not bad. But you're jumping for a whole lot of hoops and wasting a whole bunch of deck space, and potentially like setting yourself up to brick your hand just to play a guy that's 15k, and kills a guy, right? Yeah, so he's like not particularly good. Like the only reason why you play this card is just like so you can get the bros back for free when you play Dependable Brother. But yeah, like I said earlier in the video, Dependable Brother can get you familial bonds. So like you probably wouldn't play the out of venturing Son Goten anyways. So the other card is Trunks Out of Venturing. So this card is like significantly worse than the Goten in my opinion. It's a 4 cost, 10,000 power. It's just got the same EX Evolve effect. So EX Evolve onto red Trunks used for an energy cost of 2. It's got blocker and it's got revenge. So it's a revenge blocker. And order when a card evolves into this card and your leader is Son Gohan Adolescence, draw one card and switch this card to active mode. So this doesn't have any offensive abilities. You draw one card and reactivate it so it can block. And yeah, so it's not a particularly good card. Yeah, it is a revenge blocker, so it can annoy some of your opponent's like aggressive cards. But the fact that it doesn't have barrier really like hinders it a lot. In that like 10,000 power is like pretty easily killable, and yeah, it means that it can still be like chosen by your opponent's abilities that can rest it or can just like blow it up. So yeah, it seems like both of them are very, very underwhelming, but the only reason why you play this card is that you can get it out for free, and I believe that this is the only 4 cost green Trunks in the game. So you're going to play this card, like you're going to put this card in your deck. You're probably not going to put him into play, but he's just a free card if you happen to have him in your bin once you play Dependable Brother. Next, we're talking about SS Brawler Legend Unleashed. He's a free cost 19,000 power battle card for 1 green. Activate main. If your opponent has 3 or more energy and you choose one Dormant Legend in your battle area, place it in the owner's drop, play this card from your hand. So basically, in a situation where you have Dormant Legend on the field and your opponent decides not to attack you, keep you on like 7 or 6 or 8 life, you're not able to break the Dormant Legend because it requires your opponent to deal damage to you. If you get up to free energy, if you're playing second, so if your opponent has free energy and then like you subsequently have free energy, you can just play Legend Unleashed, break Dormant Legend, and then like, yeah, you can then use the second ability of when you play this card for duration of turn, if your leader is Red Brawler, you can activate its Awaken skill even if you have 5 or more life. So basically, if your opponent does like try to life stall you, yeah, once your opponent gets up to free energy, you can chuck this guy down for free, break the Dormant Legend, and then awaken your leader at the same time. So your opponent's kind of in a lose-lose situation of if they force you to like, if they deal damage to you and give you the cards on the Dormant Legend, you get a free Red Brawler of cost 4. If they don't, once you get up, like once your opponent gets up to free green energy, you can play this card from your hand and you can break the Dormant Legend. Also, like I probably didn't mention that, if your opponent has free energy, you can play this card for free. But if your opponent doesn't have free energy, so let's say if you went first, you can just spend free energy to play this card normally, and then break it anyway. So, either way, on your free energy turn, you either get this guy for free or you pay free to do it and you break your Dormant Legend and you get to like awaken at the same time. So definitely this is going to be an auto include in the Brawler deck just to give you an opportunity to play your larger cards and to get rid of your Dormant Legend. So next we talk about Son Gohan and Goten Familial Bonds. So this card is just like the centerpiece for the entire like Dependable Brother and Goten Gohan strategy. So it's a 4 cost with red-green specified energy. Combo is 1 for 10,000. It's got energy exhaust, like all the like multicolored cards. It's got alliance red-green. So this card gains power equal to the total power of the card switch to rest mode by the skill and triple strike for the duration of battle. So once this attacks, your opponent can choose to negate. Even if your opponent chooses to negate, you can then like alliance, you can like, you can rest mode any number of red or green cards on your field in order to add those cards' power to this card's power, and then give it triple strike for the turn. It's got another order. When you play this card, activate the skill for the duration of the turn. When your opponent uses the skill to play a battle card, your opponent chooses two cards from their life and place them in their drop area. So everyone's immediate thought is like, oh yeah, this card like hard counters Shugesh, right? But Shugesh gets banned, so like this card isn't particularly good, right? Not only that, there's actually like a ton of cards that kind of are fringe usable with this. So first of all, this like gets around arrival. So if your opponent does want to arrival in a card, such as like the Broly cards, or any of the like other rival cards, your opponent has to like sack 2 life. So like straight up just basically forces your opponent not to use arrival for the turn. On top of that, any sort of like negate attacks that also like plays a battle card. So cards like Announcer, cards like Master Roshi, like they can negate the attack, but then they're taking 2 damage anyway, so they're probably not going to really negate it. Although technically, if you do like hit them with this, it's a triple strike, so even if they're losing 2 life, maybe it might still be worth. But yeah, like just hardcore penalizes them. I guess like also the new Tor that's like counter play. You can like, yeah, your opponent loses 2 life from it anyways. So yeah, so this is pretty strong, and like, so the ability like has a lot of like interesting targets that it can sort of like hit. Yeah, by itself it's not particularly strong, but the fact that there's so much support for it that you can cheat it in for free with Dependable Brother Son Gohan, and the fact that when you do play this card, you can get the Goku to come in for free, and then that Goku basically just like allows us to attack twice, because you'll attack with this Alliance to Goku, this gets triple strike, and plus 14,000 power, so it becomes 34,000 triple strike. And then yeah, the Goku reactivates and you can swing again, right? And it also synergizes with the Gohan leader. If you discard 3 cards, you can give like this card and like any other cards like plus 10,000 each. And then like when you alliance them together, like all those power bonuses all stack up. So this card could very easily be like a 60k, 70k like triple striker. And then like, yeah, if you happen to have the Goku, like you get to reactivate it and do it again. So it basically becomes triple strike dual attack as well. And that also just has a random ability to deal your opponent damage if they like play a card during your turn. But yeah, so like Dependable Brother Son Gohan is going to be like the main way that you're going to play this card. But there are some like other interesting things you can do with this as well. The fact that it's got like the dual tag of Son Gohan Adolescence and Son Goten does mean you can do interesting things. First one obviously is Dependable Brother Son Gohan can't get this card out for free because it happens to say Son Goten. So that's a little bit a bit of a fuck up on Bandai's behalf. I think they didn't consider that, but yeah, it's going to be the most broken way to get this card into play. Also, just like randomly, I'm not saying that this is a great strategy, but you can absorb this using Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu because it is a Son Gohan Adolescence. So you can get like Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu with dual attack, and then he just gains all the abilities of this card as well, which would be Alliance and the ability to like make it so your opponent doesn't sacrifices 2 cards when they play a card. Actually, I think in hindsight, you don't get that ability because like Grand Evil Absorption Buu, he might gain that ability, but he never enters play with it. So yeah, I guess like Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu can be dual attack alliance with it. So yeah, there are some interesting things to do. Like I suppose Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu is just an example of like anything that says Adolescence Gohan or Son Goten can just like completely break the mold with this card because like double tagging. So like this card is actually something I'm really excited for. It seems very under the radar, but I think like, yeah, once people like start experimenting it, this is definitely going to be one of those cards that people are just going to have like a cult following of like, oh yeah, I want to like try Familial Bonds as a deck. And yeah, it's going to kind of blow up. I think it's definitely going to be like locals playable, probably like tier 1.5. Definitely better than tier 2 in my opinion. But yeah, so like I like this card and I'm going to put out a deck video when the set drops. So next we have Brawler Tragedy Foretold. He's a 6 cost with red, green. combos for 1 for 10. It's got Arrival, Red, Green, and Energy Exhaust. So Arrival, Red, Green is like, yeah, so it's for one red and one green energy. If you have like a red and a green card in your combo area, you can like put this card for just like by paying red green. So it's actually really cheap to put into play, but the restriction is only one Brawler Tragedy Foretold can be played in your battle area, and you can't play this card from any area unless Dormant Legend is in your drop zone. So basically, yeah, so you can't like put this card into play until you sacrifice your Dormant Legend. So if your opponent aggroes you out and breaks a Dormant Legend, yeah, you can get this out on turn 2, right? But yeah, like in general, it seems like your opponent is just going to like kind of hold back, and that's why it's so important for you to play the free cost green Brawler that's going to break your Dormant Legend, so you can like get advantage of these Arrival Brawlers that are massive. So it's got one auto. When you play this card, choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and to get minus 15,000 power until the end of your opponent's turn. And also, the other order is when your opponent's combos, you may choose one card in your opponent's combo area and place it in its owner's drop area if you do negate the skill for the duration of the turn. So basically, once per turn, you are able to just like cancel out one of your opponent's combos. And yeah, when he enters play, you get to like ignore barrier, do neg 15 until the end of your opponent's turn. So if you do play this card during your turn, you can neg 15 to 2 of your opponent's guys, ignoring barrier, and for your current turn, and then for your opponent's turn, there's still neg 15, right? So this like debuff actually lasts for quite a while, unless you arrival it, in which case it's just like, if you arrival on your opponent's turn, it's only neg 15 till the end of the turn, right? So straight away, this can like just kill a lot of like smaller guys, but also this synergizes with the Red Brawler Leader's ability in that he's got Activate Main. You can discard a card from your hand to kill a guy with 10,000 power or less. So if your opponent is like attacking with say 25,000 power, you can like arrival this Brawler in, do neg 15 to it, which neg 15 to it, and then you can potentially use your leader ability to like decrease it even more. So let's say, if your opponent's attacking with like a 25k, you can like arrival this guy, neg 15 to it, and then you can just like pitch a card to kill it as well, right? Or you can like neg 15 to other guys, and then like, you can use your leader to like kill a 10k or less, right? So like, this card is actually really strong, but obviously it's really restricted by like the fact of Dormant Legend, throttling this card. So at the earliest, you're going to be able to play this on turn 3. And yeah, it just makes it difficult for your opponent to combo. It doesn't have like double strike or triple strike or anything, so it's not going to be a particularly strong threat, damage threat, but it's just like a really good pressure tool. And like, yeah, being able to play it on arrival is really strong as well. So next we have Brawler Rapid Barrage. So this is another Brawler that costs 4, so you can put this into play for free using Dormant Legend if you break it as well. It's 4 cost red-green. Its combo is 1 for 10,000. It's got Arrival Red-Green for just 1 red, so you can just pay 1 red to put into play if you have the Arrival combos. It's Energy Exhaust, and it's 20,000 power. Only one Brawler Rapid Barrage can be played in your battle area, and you can't play this card unless Dormant Legend's in your drop area. When you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets minus 10,000 power until the end of your opponent's turn. And when your opponent combos, you may choose one card in your hand and place it in the drop area. If you do, choose one card in your opponent's combo area and place it into the drop area, then negate the skill for duration of turn. So very similar to the Super S 6 cost Brawly, in that, yeah, you can cancel out one of your opponent's combos, but you do have to sacrifice a card for it. So yeah, it's a little bit weaker in that regard. And yeah, getting minus 10,000 power is weaker as well. And it doesn't ignore barrier. So yeah, it's just like a smaller Brawly that you can do on arrival with just like 1 red as opposed to doing 1 red and 1 green. I suppose like the way that this deck is supposed to play is that you will arrival with this Brawly, and you'll neg 10 to one of your opponent's guys, and then like you can stop one of their combos, and then like after this Brawly's on the field, you can just combo them away. So you can pay like 1 for 10, combo this card away, and that gives you your arrival green, and then you can like evolve straight, like you can arrival in the like 6 cost Brawly, right? So I think that that's kind of the point of this card, because like his like base abilities just aren't particularly strong, and I suppose you are effectively getting him for 1 energy with Dormant Legend. But yeah, so I think the whole point of this is just like a free card that you're probably just going to combo away so you can get to your super rare version. Both the cards like having pretty good like base power stats is good, but like the fact that they don't have the double strike really sort of like hinders your ability to like finish out games with these cards, and I think that that's going to be the biggest drawback to playing this like Brawler strategy. And the final card of the set is Brawler Demonic Origins. It's 2 cost, red-green. It's got energy exhaust, so obviously it's got 1 for 10 combo power as well. Permanent ability, if there is a card that is both red and green in your energy other than this card, negate this card's energy exhaust skill in all areas. When you play this card, your opponent chooses 1 card from the hand and places it in the drop area. So I guess like if you're playing like classic discard Brawly, then this is like a card that you can probably chuck into that if you have a little bit of red splash into it. Like the one main reason I think for playing this card is that it does allow certain decks that want to play a lot of like that have a very specific red or green color requirements, such as the Kaioken Goku strategy or like even Kaba. It allows them to have access to both red and green without having to like energy exhaust every time they want to play dual colored energy. So in those sort of strategies, you can go like super heavy on energy exhaust cards, probably like 8 to like 11 depending on like the deck, and just have 4 of these guys. So like later on you can just energy these guys like without energy exhausting, and then you reserve the option later on for like your larger plays that have very specific energy requirements. Now, it's relevant with cards such as like Saiyan Teamwork Kaba, because Saiyan Teamwork Kaba is able to play a whole bunch of cards, such as Kale and Caulifla onto a field for very cheap. But Saiyan Teamwork Kaba does require double green. And like, obviously the targets that you are getting for free with Saiyan Teamwork Kaba is, are Kale and Caulifla. So they do, fuse very nicely into Saiyan Onslaught Kefla. But Saiyan Onslaught Kefla is a Union Potara that requires free red. So if you do play like Brawly Demonic Origins, you go turn 1, a red-green energy, and then turn 2 you can go like Brawly Demonic Origins, because you already have a dual red-green in your energy area. You don't get the energy exhaust on Demonic Origins, which means on turn 2 you can play Saiyan Teamwork Kaba, get Kale or Caulifla, probably Caulifla, and then you can like on your following turn you can play in like the free Kale, and then you can just like charge 1 red energy, and then because the 2 dual colored energies are also red and green, you can then like Union Potara into Saiyan Onslaught Kefla on your like 3rd energy turn, which is pretty strong. So that's just like an interesting idea that you can use with Brawly Demonic Origins. Otherwise, you're probably going to use it with like Kaioken Goku. So that's it for all the red-green cards that are in relation to Brawly Saga. Stay tuned for like future videos. Next video I'll be doing is red-green cards that feature the Saiyan Saga, so we'll be talking about that. If there's any cards that you think I might have overrated, underrated, or have any other suggestions or comments, do feel free to put them in the comment section down below. I do respond to you guys. And until next time, Grand J out.